Welcome to Holding It Together with Bonita's podcast. And to our first-time listeners, welcome. Bonita's podcast was birthed out of 27 years of marriage between Tony and myself, where we've experienced joy and triumphs, abundance and lack, as well as sickness and in health. Tony had 2 massive heart attacks within 10 days and ultimately became 100% disabled. I became a caregiver for Tony for the past 5 years, along with our young adult kids. I felt it was important to share our story to encourage listeners who may be going through tough times to hold on a little while longer. I also wanted to share and interview others who have gone through challenging times and have held or still holding it together through tough times. Listeners, you will find encouragement, grace, motivation, relatability, and inspiration. Thank you for listening. If you could only hold on. Hi, holders. Welcome. We are at episode, what, Tony? 13. 10, 13. Yay. Babe, can you believe we're just like, it's been probably about 3 months now, hasn't it? 3 months? Yes. How you doing today? You doing good? Good. All right. You ready to get started? I am too. Let's get started.
Hi, holders.
Welcome to Holding It Together with Bonita. I am your host, Bonita. We also have our co-host.
I'm Antoinette.
Joshua.
And then our host, Anthony, Tony, which we've already greeted everyone earlier. So this topic really came to mind, into my heart, because we just went to a family reunion and had a wonderful time. They hadn't necessarily met, and where it was an actual planned out family reunion. Of course, you have your get-togethers. That's one thing, but a true family reunion holding to the tradition of. So it was actually scheduled, held to the old schedule they used to have for their family reunions. So that's one of the reasons that I thought about this very next. And here's another thing. I even saw where someone I follow on social, said that they went to a family reunion. They had not been to a family reunion in a while on this particular side of their family, and how that lost time was made up in one event, and that how it just filled their heart with so much joy. And it brings me back to how when I grew up, like we had some serious family reunions. You came in on Friday, your meet and greet, everybody came in who could come in on Friday after work. Saturday, you got up early. The men were out there barbecuing. You had your picnic, games. So you were out there playing games as well. And then Saturday night, oh, we were clean. I mean, dress, banquet style gathering, DJ or band, and it was so good to see. So that's what brought me back to this particular topic. And the topic for today is, why aren't families as close as they used to be generations ago? What has played a part in this division? And it's not just in my family or others around me, but you also see that kind of like a little trend.
You even see memes about it.
You see memes about
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Ever since grandma died, we're not as close as we used to be. So the very first topic is historical. Has the traditional roles within the families evolved over the past generations? And I'm going to say yes. What I think about immediately is the fact that Granny was a stay-at-home mom. And not all the time, because she would get out and have jobs and stuff. I guess when she wanted to, I don't know. But she was always the tree that was planted, the structure. So in the summer, that's where all the grandkids were. We all got dropped off, or we ended up staying the night weeks at a time. And of course, our parents would say, okay, at some point you got to come home. But maybe that does have a lot to do with it. That was like the meeting place. All the parents came, picked up the kids. You saw one another. Your first cousins were your best friends. I have stories. I was just talking to one of my cousins, and y'all heard us laughing and talking about this, about despite me seeing her, I will always love her. I will always protect her, period. And we laughed about the time, and I told y'all this story as well, where we literally, she pulled down my tube top. And of course, I didn't have nothing to display, but in my eyes, I did. And we were supposed to go outside of the gate. And of course, what did she do? Because I was chasing her. She went outside the gate. So I went outside the gate. And we all in the alley. So who gets in trouble? We both end up getting in trouble behind. But still, that is just something we talk about today and laugh about. And that's what keeps us tight. Those old days of us playing and having fun and stuff. So I don't know. What are your thoughts about that? Just how the granny, she was the structure or the foundation because she was there.
Right. As far as like today, I don't think we have that granny that pulls all the family together. Like, you need to make sure you're here. Or even if the grandma does say that, they don't have the same pull as Granny did.
Exactly.
Like, there's not that respect.
Yeah, where
it's
that
basically
weight?
Respect.
Yeah,
because
and
that's
that
what
weight that that granny had. Yeah,
and I think I think one of the main things is like even though like your granny and your family probably has died, like our generation, our granny, like our grandma, your grandma, and our great grandma, like she passed away. Still, there's still other grandmas, but you're not leaning into that lead role. I think that's the issue.
Right.
And then you're not making sure that everyone's together, like no matter what. Exactly. Even if someone's getting on your nerves, it's not something where because they're getting on your nerves, that's a disinvite.
Exactly.
I think that's the issue.
Yeah.
But like in this generation of families, don't mess with them like that. Me and them fell out. We not inviting them because this cousin, they mad right now, so we won't want to invite them. I think that's the issue. But like back in the day, like our granny, like those grandmas, it doesn't matter what's going on. And if you have a problem, guess what? Y'all can fight at the family reunion for 2 seconds. Exactly. And you get over it, and then you move forward.
Yes.
I think that's the issue. Like,
yeah. And I agree with that because
and there's nothing wrong with fighting. If y'all have something to say,
if you
say it.
Love that person. Yeah.
Exactly.
Get it out, confront it, because communicate.
Right. We were talking about that in another podcast.
Yeah,
like in relationships.
Yes.
Marriage. Yes. Okay, argue if you got a problem.
Confront that thing. Because here's the other thing that people don't understand. Peacemakers are confrontational. And the reason why they're confrontational is because if there's an issue, let's deal with it. In order to get peace, let's deal with those tough issues so we can get back. And there's no friction, there's no funniness, there's no, like you said, oh, I don't fool with that person. You don't fool. That person is family. We're not doing that.
Right. So in this household, we communicate. Just did that.
Right.
We just did that. Yes. Communication is key.
Y'all, that was these two. They just had a communication right
We
before.
just had some communication going on.
Right.
But as you can see,
But that's
we're
why
back
you
to-
communicate. That's we literally talking about right now.
Oh, yes, and we're laughing because we communicate. Oh my gosh! But that's what I love.
Yeah.
I don't mind, like, if we need to, right, if we need to get it. And, well, I ain't even going to go into that, but what I will go into this is I remember so much Granny would say, but that's your cousin. I don't care, but that's your sister. Oh, when we had gatherings, she would look around the room. Oh, where's this one at? Where's that one at? Oh, okay, get them on the phone. Like we didn't
Or go
move
pick 'em
forward.
up.
Go pick them up.
Yeah.
Oh, Granny, we talking to so and so, and she said, or they said, they're not coming. Him and that phone, and she got on the phone with them. So you're right. Where is the weight of I'm pulling my family together? That's all we have. That's all we have. And let's quit playing the stupid games. And again, I believe that's the difference between this generation and the grannies that you hear the memes about today.
Right.
Yeah.
So as far as like the technology aspect, do you think technology has actually helped us bond or created more of a distance between our family?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think with technology and social media, you following your family on social media, I think it can lessen the bond. Only even though you see your family, like you see if they post on Instagram, you see their picture. Sometimes you might comment or you just like it, but I don't think that creates a bond.
Right.
Because sometimes, like just because you see them on Instagram, you saw they posted, you know, where they were at, they were traveling, and they did something. So then you like won't reach out, or you don't even make the effort to go see each other in person. Like
you feel like you see them on
Yeah.
social media.
Right.
But
Exactly.
It's not the same.
no,
It's not.
You
not at all. Because you can still feel lonely if
Right.
you don't actually see your family in person,
Exactly.
or like at Thanksgiving in those like
Special
certain times. Yeah.
Those special times. Yeah. I know. Even when we moved away, it was important, like, because I had never been away, even though I was grown. You remember we were home, Ohio home, almost every 3 to 6 months because because that's what I was used to. I needed to be home, for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. We always did something special for Christmas, so it was important. And then, my older cousins who were like cousin, auntie, she would, oh, you're in town? And she would come over to, like, when we came home, it was a party. We had, everybody came over, just to see us, to keep that community of family together and the bond, like you said, playing board games and stuff. Family is important. So, but what I was going to say, to even kind of going back to my question and bonding your question, or combining those, that was the other thing about grannies being at home. They tied up that phone. They got on the phone. They called their siblings. They called their cousins. How you doing? What you been doing? So there was always this state of constant communication, and being able to hear their voice, to make sure they're okay. Because here's the thing, back to social media, you only post what you want people to see. So while you kicking it, I'm out at the mall, I'm out at the club, or wherever you at, I'm in Miami, whatever it is, then that's what I see. Oh, they doing good. But I don't see you in a dark room because you're sad, you're depressed, you're lonely, you're battling things. So I think there again, it's a good and bad thing. For the family reunion, it was efficient.
Yeah.
Right.
We're
And
meeting
nobody
here.
was on their phones. Nothing.
Yes, yeah, it was great. So yeah, that's a good question.
Right.
Yeah.
And when we did travel back, once we moved, during that time, it really wasn't social media or
No.
FaceTime. Like, we have FaceTime, so we really don't even have to see you in person.
Right.
We can see you on FaceTime.
But that's different.
Yeah.
FaceTime ain't the same. I'm not FaceTiming.
It's not.
I'm not FaceTiming you. That's just, and guess what? That's my thing. Everybody, nowadays, everybody like to be on that FaceTime. Or I did this, but this. I ain't FaceTiming you. I'm not FaceTiming you. But anyway, but that's me though. Ain't judging people. So that was a good question.
I have a question.
I'm listening.
So, how do you guys think changing cultural norms and values influence the way families interact and support each other? What role do modern values around individualism and personal achievement play in family closeness? I think individualism is like super big in the United States. And like, you know, being your own person, especially in the United States, living on your own. Like, as soon as you're of age, 18, you know, up to college, like, oh, I gotta be in my own, you know, place, do my own thing. I think that's big here.
It is.
But like, anytime I've talked to friends that were from other countries, like, that's not big in any other country as much as it is like in the U.S. But they're also, and I know they're closer with their families.
They are closer.
Yeah.
And you and I can speak to this. You know, the Nepalese families. Oh, I mean, in the household, you have your main husband and wife. The minute children, if the parents aren't already here, the minute a child is on the way, here comes the parents. You have the siblings. And guess what? They're all in one home. I have a Latino family. He brought lunch. His mom, because they all live together, his mom made lunch for him every day. I love that. I love that. Why not? Why aren't we building community within our families? You know, making sure we're supporting one another. Imagine the things we could do. Look at us. The things that we do together, the four of us. Imagine what we could do as a family. Mother, grandmother, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, aunties, uncles.
We'll be millionaires
Oh,
together.
buying up a whole block.
Mansion.
Yeah. You know, your homes. That's what I look forward to. But yeah, that's a good question. And it is. I think it's played a huge part in the division, in a sense, here with Black Americans. My personal view only.
Right, just because that's what you are, so that's what you know, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good question.
What was the question?
It's how has changing cultural norms and values influenced the way families interact and support each other? And what role does modern values around individualism and personal achievement play in family closeness? Like, you know, you trying to work on your own career, you go to work, you're trying to find like a great job, that type of stuff.
I mean, I see that all the time as far as like family members who are, you know, so worried about their career. You know, they don't come home. Most of the time they're in a different city and a state, and they don't have time to come home.
Yeah.
And they don't make time either because they're so worried about their own goals and the things that they have going on.
Yeah. And that goes back to being here in this country, the United States, because like that's the work culture, which affects family culture here.
Yeah.
In other countries, like their work, they don't like work 24/7 like how it is here. Like here, you have a job, and then they still want you, even when you get off work, you know, answer emails if they call, you know, give them a call back, that type thing.
Yeah. And then, you know, it's the culture of you get yours because I'm getting mine. You know, where even when your dad and I had the business, we thought of our family, not just you and Josh, but our family.
Right.
And how can we, you know, help move us all forward, you know, and, you know, providing jobs to, we even have a cousin who mentioned, thank you for the opportunity. And guess what? We didn't do it for that. We did it. Guess we need you just as much as you need us. It wouldn't be a company and a successful company if you weren't doing your part, and we appreciate that. So, yeah, those are all great, great questions. And I don't know. It just seems like so. The next question is under the topic of parenting styles. How have parenting styles evolved, and what impact does that have on family closeness?
Like, I always think about the old saying. I can't remember like to a T, like what it said, but it was pretty much like, as far as like your kids, your whole community is gonna raise your kid.
Your village.
Your village,
Yeah.
right? And like today's, like there is no discipline somebody else's kid.
Oh Lord.
Like you're gonna have a lawsuit.
Yeah.
There
And
is
what is
none of
sad is in the family, Josh. It's not even a thing of, I don't know. I don't even know if back in the day, well, yes, they did, because they did say, you know, like neighbors would call your parents, like, hey, I just saw your child do this, and that. But I don't, nowadays, you have family members who can't even say anything to someone's child, whether it's right or wrong.
Right.
So I think you're on to something. Yeah, yeah. No one wants you to say anything to their child.
Oh.
No, and they know their child.
And then what they'll tell you is, I got different parental styles or skills.
Right.
But one thing I do see more of is I see more parents, like their friends, their close friends, being more involved in their child's life more than a family member. Like they may not be close to their family, but like whoever their close friend is, you know. I see people being close and like being like the auntie, uncle, if it's like their friends.
Now, do you think that has to do with maybe that particular family member lives out of town and doesn't have maybe the extended family within the city or that state? Do you think?
No, I don't think so,
okay.
because I see it, but they still live in the same like city as their
okay.
family.
Oh,
But still they're around their friends more than their family. Yeah, so
Yeah. And even there's a question about locale and mobility. And like I said, even when we were out of state, 8 hours, we made sure we were home for those special times. And then when we first moved, you know, that's when Granny passed away. You know, so it was important for, you know, us to be there Thanksgiving, Christmas. You know, we would let Mama know we were heading home. She had the blow up bed and the room ready, you know. And again, like I said, it was a party. You know, everybody came over, and we did that for years. And when we couldn't make it home, it was because of funds. You know, just keeping it real. 8 hour drive, and we were there for over 10 years. So that could be a little costly. So I'm sure you have some family members who are away. That could be their hindrance, not being able to make it home because of finances. And you know, for me, that's when you would think families would have a pot to make sure at least certain times a year, if you want to come home, you can. I mean, that would be for me. Just a thought. What were we gonna?
But what do you guys think about where in families you see where there are family members who are always like going, giving, trying to pull together. But like, at what point do like other people like join in? Like, there can't always be one person who's trying to, oh, I'm trying to get us together. There's really some, I don't know.
Well,
But you know, like when
tell me what you mean.
there's certain people who are always trying to, okay, I want to go see it. There's one person, you're always trying to go see everyone, bring everyone together.
Yeah.
Like, you're the reason that people are coming together. And it's only when you do everything, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I
it's
think
just
that's
a
an
personal
issue.
preference because it is an issue, but at the end of the day, people are people.
Yes.
They're selfish.
Yes.
They don't want to be around their family, and that's just what it is.
No.
It's nothing we can do about
Right.
it.
It isn't.
It's more about them.
Yeah.
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 So it's
And
just
I
more,
think
if
for
you
the
want to make that sacrifice, you know,
you do
exert the energy, because you're the only one who's going to pull
Exactly. Who's gonna
everyone
pull it
together. Yeah.
And then you have where if that's your heart to do that and you don't mind doing it and you're not doing it, you know, begrudgingly, you're not doing it complaining, I think you should.
Right.
You know,
It might just
because
be
you might be the glue, just like Granny was. How everybody talked about how the Granny was. And so maybe you're that next generation glue. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I know that when we were in Ohio, we made sure, you know, it was when we came back in town, because we traveled because of business, you know, we was frying some fish, chicken. We always had a full house, you know, and it was no big deal. Everybody was invited. We had a family reunion. We had weddings, you know, and it's no big deal, you know, because you love family.
Right.
And you'll do anything for your family. So one of our, you know, last questions is solutions and strategies. What are just some practical steps that family members can take to nurture and strengthen their relationships in today's world? One thing that I'll say is for the family members that I want to see how they're doing, guess what I do?
Go see them.
Yes, go see them, or I pick up the phone and call them, or I text them. Let me tell you what I don't do. Hey, so and so, how Tina doing? How Tim doing? How Susie doing? No. If I want to know how a family member is doing, pick up the phone and call them. So I think that's a very simple solution and strategy. Let's quit asking everybody else.
Accept that person.
Accept that person if you're truly interested in knowing how they're doing.
Right. Yes.
One thing that cousin and I just made a vow to do, and that was just that. Not ask other people how we're doing, but to literally text one another, call one another. Because one thing I will say, and of course, as a minister, you know, you have to deal with spiritual things. One thing that I understand is this: people have a tendency to filter their responses through maybe some things they're dealing with. So they might be dealing with insecurity. They might be dealing with maybe self-worth issues, loneliness, their own stuff. So when you're filtering responses, me saying, oh, how is Antoinette doing? I don't know. I mean, like sometimes she seemed like she okay, but then sometimes she
got bags. Sometimes she
right. She looked
she got
tired.
bags.
Where Antoinette, I might have called her and she just said,
I just work a 12-hour shift.
Yeah, I just worked 12. I'm tired, and I took that I'm tired and ran with it. So
it just wore out.
Yeah, they wore out. Right.
They look wore out.
They
Right.
look wore out. Oh my God, they look a mess. So yeah, I want to know how Josh is doing. I'm gonna call Josh. I do that with each and every one of us in the house, and we live together. If I see we're not doing, if something's going on, I don't ask Antoinette, is something going on with Josh? No, no. I ask Josh, is something going on with Josh?
Because that sets up basically gossiping to me. Because, like, you personally don't care about him. You ain't reaching out to him.
Or
if you talking to somebody else about them, do they actually know how they doing? Are they going to make up something?
Right.
For entertainment purposes?
Or if you do reach out, you be like, hey, Josh, can you send me Bonita's number?
Yes.
And just leave it at that. That works.
Yeah. I just talked to a cousin I hadn't talked to in a long time, and they asked for my number. I said, hey, give them my number.
Right.
And we text for hours.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need to hear, well, what they doing, well, what they want, well, what's going on with them. No, let me have a conversation, because that's my blood. I care about them. They matter to me, so I'm going to reach out to them, period. And I think, so I would say that's a very simple solution. The other solution is for those in families who are Christian, who are prayer warriors, who are ministers. I believe that we need to begin to pray for our families, because here's the thing, God created family. Family is very much important. And if it's important to God, guess who has a problem with it? Satan. And he will come in with a spirit of division, because let's deal with it. Spirit of division. And if you don't deal with that thing head on, just like we talked about last time with relationships, you have that crack, and next thing you know, that crack widens. And the seeds of division have grown so far, people in families don't even understand and know why they're not talking to one another. Or some, again, they have been used because they're dealing with certain issues. And when you're dealing with the spirit of fear and confusion, those are spirits. And if you don't stop yourself and don't allow Satan to use you to be the one to divide your own family. And guess what? Let's talk about it. And it's not just in one family or a few families. It is families dealing with the spirit of division. And so division is something that we dealt with way back when, and we're still dealing with it today. Jesus talks about it in the church. Division even within the church. So of course there'll be division within families, but let's deal with it. And as believers within those families, let's begin to pray against it and confront it, so that way we can have that harmony that is absolutely needed in this day. So it's been good. Now, I've enjoyed this because I've also enjoyed the family reunion. You know, we just went to, and then not only that, I love family. I love my family. Love them. Yes. So Antoinette, let's go ahead and end in scripture, of course.
The first scripture is Matthew 22, verse 37. Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. Ephesians 4:32, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you.
That's excellent. Well, this was a great episode. Talking about families, I think, for those who remember those times, remember those family reunions and those family gatherings and meeting up at Granny's house. You long for those times of unity and love, unconditional love. It doesn't matter what you're going through. Your up times, your down times, your sailing through lifetimes. Family is important. And, for folks to think or say that it's not, it is. And you ain't, moving through this life talking about I don't fool with this one off. That's of Satan. Period. Period. Because unless they have, and you still got to forgive them, but I was going to say, unless they come in and, slapped everybody in the house, and you still got to forgive them. Cut it out. Cut it out. But, this has been good. So for those of us who are still holding on to family and have held on, because that's what has made us who we are today. I tell y'all stories of Granny, and y'all remember Granny, of your grandpa. Your daddy has told you many stories, on the Brown side, on the Jordan side, so many different stories of who they were so you can understand who you are. So family is important.